Hello friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the 8 Limbs of Yoga study for yogis, yoga teachers, and yoga teachers in training. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, a practical guide to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You can find all of my 12 published books on Amazon. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I teach meditation online on demand. You will get your personalized mantra with me, and the course is self-directed, so you could start today. The link to start is below. Welcome to the 8 Limbs of Yoga and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali study. Today, we are moving into the Niyamas, which are personal observances. And the first Niyama is Śaucha, or purity. Based on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Śaucha is a little bit difficult to understand. But don't worry, I am going to decode it for you just as I've decoded it for you in my brand new book. Let's start with the 2 Yoga Sutras pertaining to Śaucha, purity. With bodily purification, you recoil from the body and disassociate from others. Yoga Sutra, chapter 2, verse 40. Purification also brings about clarity, happiness, concentration, mastery of the senses, and capacity for self-awareness. Yoga Sutra, chapter 2, verse 41. What I wrote about in my book is that I studied various translations and interpretations of Śaucha. What I can't believe is how the yogis who interpreted these Yoga Sutras got it so far off course. If you viewed my videos on brahmacharya, you will understand what I mean. I'm going to put the link to the first video on brahmacharya right here. And there is also a part 2 to that video series on brahmacharya. So purity, what does that refer to exactly? Well, there are many different ways we can look at the concept of purity. The first Yoga Sutra reminds me of shame of the body, or shame of what the body represents, as outlined in many religions. And I really don't like the interpretation or even the wording of that Yoga Sutra. Now, here is the thing. In the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which was really an ancient text designed for yogis who were learning the practices of Hatha Yoga, there are body purification rituals that the yogi went through. Now, in Ayurveda, which is mind-body medicine from India, it is about 5,000 years old. It's called the science of life, Ayurveda, Ayus in Veda, life science. And I wrote a book about Ayurveda, The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle. In Ayurveda, there's something called Panchakarma, or 5 actions, which are body purification rituals that you would do seasonally as well. So the ancient yogis were well attuned to the fact that we have a body with what we eat, what we drink, the sensory inputs we take on. Our body builds up toxins. And because our body builds up toxins, we really do need to purify the body occasionally. Not every day, but on occasion. With Ayurveda, it's recommended to do it seasonally or 4 times a year. But the body is beautiful and holistic and pure as it is. It's just what we do with it that makes it unhealthy or unclean if we're talking about purity. The idea of bodily purification on a physical level means that the yogi is very careful about their diet. The yogi from ancient times was encouraged to only eat 2 meals per day, no snacking, drink plenty of water, and not have any other substances. Now, the meals in those days were relatively simple, usually composed of dal, which are lentils, rice, and vegetables. That was pretty much it. That's what the yogi ate a couple times a day. And if we go into more monastic orders or religious orders, those yogis didn't even have planned meals. They walked around town with their bowl and begged for food, so they may have only gotten 1 meal per day. So the yogi was designed in their disciplinary practices or their personal observances, the Niyamas, to have a pure, lean body to be able to practice yoga asana and pranayama, all in preparation for meditation. Now, remember what I have been teaching throughout this 8 Limbs of Yoga series is that the first 5 limbs of yoga are all designed to prepare the yogi for meditation. So whether we're talking about the yamas, the niyamas, yoga asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, they're all designed to prepare you on so many levels: body, mind, intellect, emotions, strength, getting you prepared for long periods of meditation. Because the ultimate goal is the 8th limb, which is samadhi, absorption, oneness with the divine. And so when we reach bodily purification, it wasn't to say, shun the body is impure, it's sinful. It was more to say, purify the body so that the body does not bother you while you are in meditation. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I've done this where I meditate daily. And in the beginning, when I would meditate, I would try to squeeze in meditation time, sometimes after meals. And if you've ever meditated after a large meal, your body is really bothering you. You might have gassiness or burping or heartburn or indigestion. And that certainly is a big distraction when you're meditating. And so the idea for the yogi was to purify the body, maybe going through some detoxification rituals or Panchakarma rituals, as mentioned in Ayurveda, and eat lightly, focus on eating pure foods, fresh foods, focus on drinking only water at room temperature so that it doesn't jar the body into shock. You know, in today's day and age, we drink a lot of ice water, for example. The idea mentioned in the Yoga Sutras were to purify the body so that you have clarity of thought, clarity of senses, clarity of mind, body, spirit, so that you can be adequately prepared for meditation. Now, another thing that healthy living, pure body, pure mind gives you is clarity of thought when you're not meditating. So when you live that balanced mind-body life, you are better able to make informed choices. Let's speak a little bit about mental purity, which I wrote about in my book. Mental purity means detoxing from environmental things that are causing you to have impurities of the mind. That could be watching violent content or playing violent video games or watching inappropriate things such as pornography or watching things that disturb your mind, such as the news. When we think about purifying the mind, it's like filling the mind with happy things, uplifting things, listening to uplifting books, listening to uplifting podcasts, videos, and reading as well things that are going to keep you happy and uplifted, filled with laughter and joy, and pulling away from the things that leave you stressed, that bring about a lot of mind clutter, things that aren't necessarily aligned with who you are becoming as a yogi. Because as a yogi, we are learning to live holistically. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have fun, right? It doesn't mean that. It just means that the more you become aligned with your inner spirit, the more you're going to want to make choices that are aligned with your inner spirit. And those things are designed to keep you joyful and happy, serene and peaceful. So if you are constantly taking in images that are disturbing or that leave you with questionable ethical or moral boundaries, for example, it's going to raise a lot of disturbances in your mind. It's not even about the judgment or the exterior judgment about your ethical and moral choices. It more comes from the interior. Is your interior spirit telling you this is not great content to watch or listen to or read, or even people, right? So there are people who bring you down. There are people who drain you. There are people who take away your happiness and joy just by virtue of being with them. And so it's not about a judgment. It's more about, are you aligned with yourself? So oftentimes people say, like, I can choose to do what I want. Like, I really enjoy violence, or I really enjoy a lot of sex or watching it. There may be some truth to that, but then afterward, how does it leave you? How does it leave you feeling on the inside? And that is something that you need to assess. How does it really leave you on the inside with your interior spirit? Is your interior spirit aligned with it? And oftentimes that's not the case. And so sometimes people use disturbing images, things that don't necessarily align with their interior spirit, because they're trying to escape from something. And usually when it's an escape from your own emotions. And so that is something that you need to sort out with you and what resonates with you, so that you can have purity of mind, which means that you are resonating in those higher vibrational frequencies of happiness, contentment, joy, peace, and serenity, so that you feel uplifted and you don't feel like you're being dragged down. So when Patanjali wrote about the Yoga Sutras, he wasn't saying your body is a disgusting object and you must deny it. It wasn't that. It was that you need to be mindful about the purity of the body, so that when you reach meditation, you can transcend the body properly, and you're not thinking about negative feelings, such as feelings of guilt, anxiety, depression, or you're not feeling sick inside because you've eaten a bunch of the wrong foods, and so you're feeling gassy and heartburn and acid reflux and all that jazz. And then you're not having negative thoughts because you're thinking about the world's problems and taking them on your shoulders. And so when we talk about purity, we're talking about being an uplifter, and you want to be an uplifter as a spiritual being. You want to be an uplifter as a yogi. And those are the reasons why we have these personal observances, so that we can be uplifters. Because if we're trying to reach for transcendence and we're trying to reach for unity with source, spirit, our higher spiritual selves, we have to start with the nitty-gritty. Like, we have to start with the material world where we reside. And then, and only then, once we've rectified a lot of the things in our material world, we're well prepared to transcend. So I hope this was helpful, Yogi. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who might want to study yoga, are studying yoga, yoga teachers, or yoga teacher training programs. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.